In this video, we are going to solve a small business problem, which is lead qualification for real estate. And actually, we will try to automate this using NA10, and there are many different ways to do this process. But the way I did it is the most cost-efficient way without using LLM in the loop. But we will see also where we can use LLM in the loop if it gets more complex. So if we need ChatGPT, etc. But the purpose of this is really to hand over the manual work that desk agents do in order to qualify some leads for the real estate agencies who have to manage some houses, some apartments for rent or for sales. And they have these announcements around some platforms, like in Germany, for example, ImmoScout or Immowelt, where they are putting their properties and people are then applying for the properties to rent them or to buy them. And there are some criteria to qualify the people on them, like the financial capability of the person who is applying, also his stability at work, with family, what age is the person, and so on and so forth. For some real estate who are managing 5 properties, for example, they will need to deal with around 200 leads all across these properties. And they have their desk agent who will need to qualify these 200 leads, for example, by spending around 20 hours just doing the qualification thing manually, because he needs to read through the emails, notifications he gets from the portals like Immowelt or Scout when some leads are interested in the property. He will compare the leads and score them and also call them if needed to make a follow-up, to get more information if they are interesting, and of course add them to the company CRM if they are also using a CRM. And then there is a lot to do if we talk about 100 or 200 leads, not just one. And the goal here is to solve the small, manual, repeatable work to get it done automatically through NA10 workflow by parsing the received emails at the beginning. So when they get them, it gets automatically, we extract automatically the information that we need from the lead, like the name, maybe the job, how much he's getting. And the information also is categorized. So we have the leads that have some score based on predefined rules, of course. And there is the automatic opt-in email that will be sent to ask the person to approve to receive further emails from us. And also then there is the automatic email to say if we need more information or whatever. And the design is here actually, the lead qualification workflow. As we can see, after message received is the trigger. So it means that someone has applied or was interested in some property in the platform. And this will get transformed because actually how the email looks like. So I will show you here very quickly how these emails look like and what we need, why we need to transform actually the HTML and get the needed field out of it, because the notification email, of course, is something automatically received when someone apply for a property or shows interest. And we have here the ImmoScout 24 notification. So it's all in HTML, CSS, and that's why we need to transform it and get out the fields that are of interest for us. We don't need like to open it manually and check out the message or the person and the different criteria. We can create fields for that in NA10, and those fields will then get populated by whatever is appearing here. That's the objective. So that's why we need to parse the HTML to get this done. And that's what the first node actually means. Then after this code here has transformed, we have the field organized. We then rule-based score the lead. So we have some scores based on the lead financial capability, based on the lead personal information, if it's complete or not, he will get a score. And then there is the opt-in request, which will be sent automatically, and regardless from what the score is, it will be sent to ask the lead to approve the opt-in. So there will be a waiting time here when the workflow is triggered. And in execute CRM workflow also, there will be, in parallel, there will be execute CRM workflow, which will fill up our CRM with the information that we organize from the lead. In this case, I will use a Google Sheet. You will see actually it's another workflow that is defined here. It's actually here on the bottom. So the CRM workflow is just getting the whatever fields we defined and score, etc. and it will prepare it to be populated in an Excel row, and that's it. Then we put it in Excel here in our case. It can also be connected via APIs to CRMs like Salesforce, for example. Then we have here the switch, so the email routing, which is here, which will pick up whatever rules we have defined, so whatever score actually that the lead will get, it will get him through one of these 4 follow-up emails. So if the lead is complete and everything, he gets like a 100% score, then he will get directly a Calendly link for an appointment to visit the apartment, for example. If the financial information is lacking, he will still get to send us some financial information. So we sent him an email to ask about it. Self-disclosure in Germany, it's called Selbstauskunft, and it's really in detailing what the person has. So it's a form that the person needs to fill up if he didn't already, and we can send this via as an attachment actually in the email. And we have the lacking information, which is like a score of 0, where we don't really have like relevant information, the minimum information. And then we follow up with a different way, and the score, of course, will score it as no, not high priority lead. After that, we can also enrich it and make some waiting time and another follow-up email if the person has not responded. So there is also this if-then conditions that we can further put here to automate even further. Now let's see it actually how it looks like in NA10. The goalie is ready to win some time back. For the desk agent, we see here the message received node. And this is where we get the notification that someone is interested in the property. So now I will send an email from my Gmail to this Outlook email that I also created to get that notification trigger. So I make sure my workflow is active, and then I go to my email and I will forward this to my Outlook email just to make sure that I'm receiving that information. Okay, now I just sent it, so let's wait a little bit until I receive it. Okay, now I just received the email, so let's look into it. And this is how it looks like. As I said, actually that notification is really HTML based. I need to just trust sender here to see it all, but yeah, we see like everything here is not really text, it's organized in HTML, CSS sequences. And that's why I need to parse it actually and transform it. So let's look at the workflow. Did it really trigger? And this, we will see it in our executions in NA10. If I look in executions, I see a waiting time already. So it means it has been triggered 1 minute ago. And now it's 2 seconds. It took 2 seconds to execute. That's what it means. And we see here that there is like this node and this node that have been executed, and it has stopped. So the clock symbol here means it has stopped here at this point. And it needs an action from us. And the action it needs actually, if I enter here, I see that there is a send and wait for response node. And this is where I will need to wait for the person who needs to opt in to approve my opt-in request in order to proceed further with the sequence. So let me just go a step back so you understand how we got these fields also here. So we got the lead notification. We saw that I just sent an email and it was received. It triggered the workflow. Then there is this HTML transformation, regular expressions, etc., which is the way that we parse actually the email. So we get, if I look into the schema, I see here that there are fields. Those fields have been defined in this code that you see here. And also some functions have been defined and expressions to make the field match the value that I need to from this HTML code. So I told it, please find like the name, wherever it is, if it's name and first name, last name together, or just first name somewhere in this sequence here. Just make sure that you pick up this first name as it is and put it in a field called first name, right? This is what's doing. It took that Malek Kilani, it took only Malek as first name. It took the last name as well. And yeah, it's classifying it and organizing it, as well as the number. So you see the number was also mentioned here somewhere in the email. We see it. It's under actually name. We see the telephone here, which has been picked also from the HTML parsed and put into a field as well. And you don't need any manual work. You just have your data organized without you having to manually go and check everything in the email. That's the strength of it. So it simplifies the work of the agent. And then after transformation, we go into the scoring part. And the scoring part, so I have made the rule of actually 3 scores to be put there. In case if the core is complete, it means that we have the first name, last name, email, phone, at least this information is there. I will give you a score of 50. Then I would check here the Selbstauskunft, which is the form to be filled. If it's there, I will also give you like 75, so 50 plus 25. And then if the Finanzierung, so you have enough financing for your actual to rent or to buy the apartment, then you will get plus 25. And yeah, this is how it will score it. Of course, in the code, it's written in details how it's scored. The email is in German. That's why you see a lot of German thing here. And I kept also the fields in German because it was made for a German real estate company who are really working with Immowelt. And yeah, it is a real project actually. And we can see also the object ID, the scout ID here, which is an information coming from object ID, which is the ID of the object in the CRM, the scout ID, which is coming from ImmoScout. So do identifications for it, and we see the score then that we added here. So in this case, but it checked all that information, the completeness of the minimum information here that we got. And based on that, it gave me a score of 50 because it didn't really find enough personal information and the person maybe didn't download and upload the needed form. That's why it's saying need Selbstauskunft. So it put it in a bucket to differentiate it. So we can use this as a routing later to get an email sent based on the score and the missing information. So we need something. And that's what we gave as a label to actually that we will use later. That's for the score. And now there is an opt-in that goes out. And this is where actually the workflow stopped. So now we go back to see what is happening here. And we got all those fields together. Of course, the score has no effect here. It's really a generic email that we send in order to be able to further make follow-ups with that lead. Once he approved the opt-in, it means that we are free to communicate with him. That's what it means. We have here the details. We have written, dear Mr. Person, thank you very much for your interest in our object ID that is coming from our ID, so that we saw there for the apartment. And then there is also the opt-in link here. We'll see how it looks like. So let's go to the email to see what happened there. Okay, actually I would receive this here, my Gmail account. Okay, we see I have a new email, your inquiry at ImmoScout. I enter here now, I can see that there has been an email since 6 minutes that I received. I need to approve this, and I have the details here, and I click on approve in order for the workflow to continue automatically. So I'm approving the fact that I want to receive further emails from this company. When I do that, what will happen in my workflow, actually it will execute. So this wait setting should be turned into succeeded, and you see it took 4 seconds to do so. Now I would just refresh the page. Great, so you see what happened now. It's executed. It also executed the next node and the next node automatically because it identified at the switch level, actually it identified the score. And based on that score, it was saying, yeah, the routing is corresponding to this bucket. If you remember this need, that Auskunft that we got earlier from the code node of the rule score based, we have, so the system determined automatically the routing it should go, so it should send an email for this specific bucket where we prepare the template already here, and it took that route for that to template or for that email to be sent and not the others, because it's based on that approved. When we see here, so thank you very much for your interest. For the next steps, we kindly ask you to complete and submit the self-disclosure form, which is there to download. I will receive it as an attachment. And once we receive the document, we will immediately schedule the appointment. Okay. And in parallel, of course, there has been another workflow that was executed, which is the CRM workflow. And here we just updated the information we got from the lead into the Excel. And as I said, it can also be other CRMs APIs that we use in order to create a new lead or update an existing one. And if I look into my CRM workflow here, I will see my information, right, that I just received. So the address, the name, last name, from which platform I received it, the object ID, the Scout ID, and all the details here of the email. So whatever is written in the email, I also put in this field in order to capture it. And we have all the needed information available there. And of course, there is also this lead key is actually the combination between the email and the object ID, which is a unique identifier, which enables us to not add a new field each time we are receiving such the same information, but more to update this column based on new information we capture on the lead automatically, for example. We can enrich it by also making the process longer, more automations, more follow-ups, and making updates automatically to the Excel without doing the work again or reinventing the wheel. If I go again to my NA10 workflow, this is all executed and it's all finished actually. So we added the lead and we had the workflow lead qualification automation working. It means we have finished with it. So one last thing we also need to see is the last step of the automation workflow that we didn't see the result yet in our email. That's what I wanted to show. Here I received an email because of my inquiry. It's saying that for the next step, okay, let's see it in details. Thank you very much for your interest. For the next step, we kindly ask you to complete and submit the self-disclosure form. And we have it in the drive here. You can just download and fill it up and upload it again. And this is how this all work together, right? So it can also be like an attachment, it can be there. All of this depends on how we configure the NA10 node. So we did everything here with pure AI automation. There is no generative AI. So there is no ChatGPT in the loop or agent working. It's more an automation, a simple one, but we can actually get it more advanced with generative AI, but not necessarily needed when really we want the result to be deterministic and not just randomly set. It's much better to set up the rule yourself based on your criteria, based on how you are working, and optimize this better and better based on your working processes. But if we are bringing generative AI in the loop, it can be also efficient, but still, do we really need it? If, for example, your scoring method or your scoring process is very complex and there is too much parameters to take care of, maybe it's not really good to go with coding because there might be too many things to consider, like the attachment, that we need also to consider a PDF document to be read through if it's complete or not. And we need really like an advanced score attribution based on sentiment analysis, etc. And this is much more efficient with generative AI then. So it makes sense to go with ChatGPT node, for example, to read the text and do some scoring instead of going with code for some cases and not the others. So that was the conclusion. Thank you very much. I hope this added some value for you. Thank you and see you next time.